Why did you choose to write on Tipu Sultan now?
Thank you, Kartikeya. Thanks for that very warm welcome, and always such a pleasure to talk to you. This book has been in the making in my mind, I think, for almost 15 years. As I also outline in the prologue to the book, my entire entry into history writing itself was thanks to Tipu Sultan somehow. Because those days you had the sword of Tipu Sultan that used to come on Doordarshan, Sanjay Khan's very celebrated serial, and quite troubled by the kind of portrayal that the Mysore royal family had received in that particular serial. I had begun a self-initiated, self-motivated, more importantly self-funded discovery at that time when I was a boy of just 12 or 13 years of age about the truth behind that false portrayal, and that resulted in my first book, Splendors of Royal Mysore: The Untold Story of the Wadiyars, which came out in 2008. Now, in that, there was only one section that was dedicated to Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. And the Interregnum, as the subtitle of this book states, is an intermission, an interval where a normal government, a legitimate government, is overthrown and a usurpation happens. That is an interregnum, of which father and son usurped the throne from the Wadiyars and became, the de facto dictators of Mysore for 40 years. That particular, 4 decades, I think, shaped the history of India in so many ways, because that was also the last bastion of colonial resistance against the British, and after which India's capitulation to European colonialism almost became something that was taken for granted. And so I was very keen on zooming in on these 40 years, going into the details of both father and son, whose life and legacy are so fascinating and colorful. And so that topic was brewing in my head for a very long time. And more so, in recent times, at least the last 10 years or so, Tipu Sultan has made a sudden re-entry into contemporary politics in a very, very pernicious way, with both the principal parties from in the state that I come from, Karnataka, the Congress and the BJP. They take opposing views of him. We know the controversy that came up when on November 10th, this very week, Tipu Jayanti, or the birth anniversary of Tipu Sultan, that comes up, was celebrated or commemorated by the Chief Minister Sidramaya in his previous, regime. So that led to a lot of skirmishes. There was so much controversy, and politicians entering this with their half-baked knowledge, talking about things and stirring the pot in such a way that there was social unrest in firing in Madikeri. Two people were actually killed also, and it was under Section 144 that Tipu Jayanti had to be celebrated in Karnataka at that time, because there was so much opposition to it. So in the wake of all that, I thought, it's a historian's burden, or it's a historian's responsibility, I would say, to actually bring the facts on to the table and set the record straight as to what is the legacy and what is the controversial legacy of this 18th century monarch, who still intrudes our contemporary political discourse in such a polarizing manner. And that's why this book has been in the making for so long.
Okay.
But over the last 4 years, I revisited most of these sources of Mysore history, both within and outside India. And that's how this rather bulky book came into
I think
being.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. In fact, so much of detailing has been done in this book. I don't know any other author has done this sort of a detailing, and especially the foreword written by Mr. Bhairappa. That was, in fact, a read in itself. Point blank question: was Tipu Sultan a religious bigot?
Uh, to a large extent, yes. And I say to a large extent because he's a historian's enigma. I think, for everything that we say, there's also some kind of contradicting stance also that is visible in his very troubled legacy. But by and large, now both Hyder and Tipu, they went on an expansionist drive, particularly into the border areas of the then Mysore state.